Yeah, I just wanted to introduce you, Tom, because people won't recognise you across the business. So for everyone that's on the call today, we've got Tom Higgs with us and Phoebe Hurd, who are two of our friends and colleagues over at Octopus. Tom's at Octopus Electric Vehicles. And Phoebe, I love the title of your job role. Phoebe is an inbound brand ambassador for Octopus Energy. So they've come in today to help us chat through all things big energy saving. So obviously this is our fourth webinar, just to give you guys kind of an update as to where we are. We're doing 50 webinars this year to celebrate 50 years of ground control. And it's really important for us to sort of work in partnership with people who can help benefit our people, so that we really understand the challenges and the changes that we can make as individuals to move that dial on reducing our carbon footprint. So welcome to Ground Control. Absolutely over the moon that you've come to join us today. Thank you. And
No,
the floor
pleasure.
is yours.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Well, what an introduction. So, yeah, thank you everyone for dialing in. As you can probably guess, my name's Tom. I've been with Octopus for 2.5 years, which in Octopus years is long in the tooth. I'm part of the furniture. It's probably, like dog years, 20 years or so. I joined when we were employed. I was employed number 28. We're over 220 now, which kind of goes to show the growth of the business. Phoebe, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm Phoebe. Started off in April last year at Octopus Energy. So, inbound brand ambassador is quite a fancy title, but it's basically inbound sales. So, when you ring, you want to ring and change your energy provider, speak to me, I tell you what your options are. And then for a long period of that, we wasn't selling, we wasn't signing people up because, we're middle of an energy crisis. So a lot of the time, the point of me was to just give advice, speak to customers, whether that was about their current supplier or whether that's about us, and just give them a bit of background about what the situation is at the moment. And then I moved to OEV in November, I think it was. And yeah, now I'm part of the OEV team. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Phoebe. So yeah, as Justine said, today we're gonna keep it short and sweet. We're aiming to kind of wrap this up in about 15 minutes to give you time to ask questions. So really short, snappy. We're gonna cover, very quickly who are Octopus. So hopefully give us some credentials in what we're saying. 2, what you can do to make your home more energy efficient, which is quite important right now, make it greener as well. And 3, how you can cut your household bills with energy. So those are kind of 3 things that we're going to focus on. And finally, we're going to look at your carbon footprint and what you can do as individuals to reduce your carbon footprint and give you a few tips and tricks. For that, we're going to wrap up with kind of things that you can do and take away to do in your own time. And then we're going to hear very briefly from Ian as well. And then we're going to open up to questions. So if you do have a question throughout, hopefully we're going to cover it in the presentation. Do put it in the chat. And when we get to the Q&As, we'll make sure that everyone walks away with their questions answered. Phoebe, anything you want to add before we crack on?
No, I think we're happy to go.
Perfect. So without further ado, over to you, Phoebe.
So, yes, basically Octopus focus on delivering green energy. They do this through various renewable sources. We like to pride ourselves on 100% renewable energy. As you can see on the slide here, there's a lot of things. We've either had a lot of funding from other people, or we've put a lot of funding ourselves into making sure we can provide these green energy sources. So as you can see there, we operate 3.4 billion worth of renewable generation. So that's enough to power 1.2 million homes. I don't know if I think that's definitely increased now, but we're definitely on sort of like the front lines and trying to make sure we can keep developing and keep using new technology and things like that, which leads on to the 10 million we've invested into build the UK's only low carbon heat research and development centre. If you know anything about Greg Jackson, our CEO, he's always on telly talking about things all the time. And he basically built a house in a warehouse to sort of test heat pumps and things like that, just to see how they work, make sure the product is working as efficiently as it can so we can deliver that to customers. And then as well, a third of the UK's public EV charging networks are powered by our 100% green electric juice. Essentially, we've made it really simple for people to charge up and down the UK and across Europe, all from one app. And then obviously people are doing their bit, and it makes it's easy for people to charge their cars.
Yeah, so really just a quick overview of hopefully our green credentials. We are in essence trying to make society a fairer and greener society. So hopefully it gives you an idea of the stuff that we do. I love the UK's low carbon heat R&D centre. It's a fancy way to say we built a house in Slough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a house in Slough.
Perfect. So next slide. Phoebe, you're gonna have to let me know when you want me to click. But
yeah, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, in terms of green energy and renewable energy as a whole, a lot has changed. I think just starting off with, you know, a few, don't really want to teach this subject, you all know what green energy is. Just a couple of things to distinguish. You know, clean energy is that what, when used, does not pollute the atmosphere, you know, creating little or no greenhouse gases. And then there is the green energy, which is, you know, sources from nature, and then renewable from recyclable sources. And I suppose it's great that the Renewable Energy Association has given us their award for the company that has done the most to advance UK renewables for the last 2 years running, which is obviously a huge achievement for us. So yeah, just making sure we're not producing those greenhouse gases, and it's generated from natural sources. Here is another example of that, just to show what the safest and cleanest sources of energy are. And obviously we've invested a lot into solar and wind with our wind farms, which we'll go into a little bit later.
And we're looking at hydropower and hydrogen as well. So there's lots that Octopus are doing to really explore all avenues. But solar and wind are the kind of two biggest factors that we can we're kind of reviewing, investing in at the moment. So Phoebe, what can people do? So that's great, and obviously that's from a bigger perspective, but back to us as individuals, what can people do to make their houses more efficient?
So I think a lot of people don't want to do things that necessarily is going to put them out, if you will. People like things easy, don't they? And if you can make, you know, small changes which are relatively easy, as well as doing your bit for the planet and saving you money at the same time, then it's a win-win really for everyone. So how? As it mentions there, reducing the amount of energy being used in your home, but getting the same result. I think that's really key. So these small changes that you can make are still, it's not going to change the way you operate, you live your life, you know, you manage yourself at home, but it's going to save you money and it's better for the planet. So as I mentioned, it is a win-win. The importance, we're in an energy crisis, everyone knows, as well as cost of living crisis. You know, saving money at the moment is, you know, huge. So if we can help in some way to do that, and just teach you how to make little, or not necessarily teach, just sort of reintroduce that information, because a lot of people know this, but a lot of people forget it, you know, when you're going through your life. So just making sure that people know the things they can change to better the environment and save money at the same time. Hopefully reach our net zero targets by 2050 and reduce the amount of energy we are using.
Perfect. So just when my clicks, oh no, oh God, oh. Spoiler. So just to give you an actual examples of what that looks like. So we've got some things here which hopefully isn't news to a lot of people. A lot of these kind of advice is kind of well known, hopefully. But the idea is just to kind of highlight, by making these switches, how much can it impact your pocket. So we've kind of done this based on the average household in the UK, and if they were made to make the switch, what that would mean to them. So by switch off, don't stand by, what we're talking at here, Phoebe, is kind of, you know, turning off your TV properly, not just kind of putting it on standby. Same with laptops, same with, like, you know, the PlayStation in the living room or whatever it is. So we want this to make it slightly interactive. I can't see the chat panel, but hopefully, Phoebe, you can.
I can.
Could we just have a quick guess? Well, maybe not so much for this one, but if you hadn't seen it, quick guess as to how much you think you could save a year by making that switch.
I'm guessing. Coming in with the
sorry, bang on the money.
With a good answer, yeah.
Right. So yeah, for those that clicked too quickly, it was £65 you could save by making that change for the year. So same thing with limiting water in a kettle. So, you know, normally if you're making a cup of tea for yourself, you kind of fill the kettle up. I'm a little bit guilty at this. I overestimate rather than underestimate. But if you actually put in the water that you're going to use rather than a full kettle's worth, how much do you think you could save a year by doing that, making that switch?
We've got £100, 150, £60, £75.
Oh, there's some good answer there. Some big kettles, I think. But you could save £20. So again,
So
obviously,
I think you're the closest with that one with 30. So
depends how many cups of tea you're making, obviously. Phoebe, next one.
So limiting the tumble dryer usage. So I don't know if any of you have seen hacks where, you know, you can put a sheet over your clothes area, pop it on the radiator, and then it's going to sort of heat your home, dry your clothes quicker, things like that. So if you know, choose to do things like that rather than using your tumble dryer or just sticking it on the line, how much do we think that money you could save by doing this? We've got... Oh, people are going big, 90, 150, 100, 175.
We are...
Justine, I think you were the closest.
So obviously it depends on how often you're using tumble dryer. We found out this morning on a call that one of our colleagues is doing wash or tumble dry every other day, which is a bit nuts. So they would be saving an absolute fortune. Obviously you've got to have the luxury of having a tumble dryer. I definitely don't. I use the good old sun and wind, but definitely something that can help. Fixing a dripping tap. So this is something that I didn't think. Well, Phoebe, you said that your mum has a. Oh no, not you, Phoebe. It was Alice, wasn't it, that said that her mum has a dripping tap for 2 years that hasn't got fixed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you realise and you notice, and then you just never fix it. But in turn, if you fix it, it can save you lots of money.
So, any guesses? It's not, spoiler, it's not going to be in the hundreds of pounds, but still going to have an impact. I'm completely relying on you, Phoebe, to read the chat. Hopefully, we're still getting some guesses.
We are. Everyone's saying around £5.
Oh, I think that's you got a smart group of people. Either that or they're cottoning onto the game. This one, actually, Phoebe, I'm going to let you explain.
Yeah, well, actually, just before, I've just seen Tracy has said, what's the hack with the sheet over your radiator and clothes area? Just to go back on that one. So basically, if you get a bed sheet, like a fitted sheet, pop it over your clothes area. I've got a clothes horse, whatever you want to call it. Pop one end over the radiator, it'll heat your clothes, and then because obviously it's all sort of in one confined space, it eventually like heats the room. And obviously it's cheap because if you have your radiators on, drying clothes at the same time, heating your home. Yeah, I'll see if I can find, yeah, definitely try it over the weekend. I'll see if I can find any links for that, and I'll get that sent over. But yeah, in terms of stopping running water, I am very bad for this. When I'm brushing my teeth in the morning or at night, and I'll go off and do something else, leave the tap running. When I'm like getting water from the tap, I'm so bad for letting it run for however long to make sure it's cold enough. But if I stop doing this, how much money could I save by stopping running water when I don't need to use it? What are the guesses? We've got £12, £30, anywhere from sort of, yeah, £15 to £30 or £45, someone's guessed.
So I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised that I can save you a whopping 60 quid, which I think is a bit nuts.
Which is mental. I really need to stop doing
I was going to say great ambassador for that point.
Yeah.
Replacing light bulbs, I think this is one that is probably most commonly known. You know, you can get your LED light bulbs, energy efficient light bulbs. I know, so my local council actually sent letters out to everyone over the New Year's to say, with everything going on, if you wanted to get LED light bulbs or things like reflective radiator foil, we could go pick it up. But how much do you think you could make or save by making the switch to LED light bulbs? What are we getting, Phoebe?
We're getting 40. Someone's guessed 180, 250.
Obviously, it depends how many beautiful light bulbs you have in your house. But yeah, there's some good guesses in there. So you can save £91. Again, we were kind of doing this morning, weren't we? It was like £5 per light bulb, but it was like, how many light bulbs do you have? That's the question. So if you've got a very, very large, beautiful house, then you could probably save quite a bit more than the 91. Phoebe, next one.
So lowering your thermostat. So this has actually been on the news recently. I don't know if anyone's seen this. I'll have to try and find the article and pop it in, pop the links over. And also I've seen someone's put the link for trying the bed sheet hack. So thank you very much for that one. So just in case you know, and someone's actually put a picture as well. Thank you for that. But yeah, lowering your thermostat. So essentially, if you lower your thermostat by 2 degrees, then your house will still be as warm, but then you're going to save money in turn. So it sort of works out for the best. So if you lower your thermostat, say by those 2 degrees, still feel as warm and saving money, how much do you think you can save? Mark's going in big with 200, 220, 300. These are...
Toasty Homes.
Jez, I think, is the closest with 80.
Yeah. Well done. Jez is clearly be doing it, counting your savings. Right, Phoebe, finally, which one? Last one, 30-degree wash.
Yeah, and 30-degree wash. Like, I think there's been quite a big thing with marketing recently, whether it's Fairy Liquid or washing detergents, and it's basically if you can wash your clothes at a lower temperature and still get the same like desired effects. 60-degree washes do end up being quite expensive, even though we want to, get those if there's any stains or anything like that. But doing a 30-degree wash would save you. All people are guessing 70, 60, 40.
Oh, I've gone too quick.
There we go, £52. That would save you a year. So I was going to say, when you look at these all together, obviously these are little changes you can make, which are not going to make a significant difference to your life or how you operate. But altogether, on average, throughout the year, this could save you £410. So, think of all the things you could do with £410 just by making these little savings. And it's not going to make a huge amount of difference to your life by doing these things.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Phoebe. So that's kind of amazing in terms of how we can get your household to be more energy efficient, what you can do to cut your bills. And it kind of ties into reducing your carbon footprint as well, because, there are 3 main areas that have the biggest impact in terms of your carbon footprint. That's your household, and that includes your lifestyle in terms of what your diet and what you're eating as well. I'll go into more detail on that in a minute. Travel. Obviously, we've got the picture of the plane here, but that's also how you get around. Your commute is probably going to be your biggest emitter there. I mean, generally, commuting or transport is 33% of all carbon emissions in the UK, so that's probably the easiest thing that we can do. And then the third one I've put here is pressure, because actually one of the best things that we can do as individuals is to put pressure on businesses and local government to actually enact green policies and back green policies and actually take actions to reduce their carbon footprints. Incredibly hard to do, to make kind of big businesses accountable, but it's probably one of the best things that we can do, because you look at the large global emitters across the world, and the majority of them come from quite a few large businesses. We all kind of know where they're coming from. So if we look at this is your kind of, this was taken from 2014, so a while ago, but you can see here the biggest kind of thing that's coming out of your household carbon footprint is your transport, 34%. The second is your energy usage. So all the things that Phoebe's kind of mentioned with regards to cutting those costs down will really help reduce your carbon footprint. The other one, which isn't on here, is diet. So 14% of emissions come from diet, and it's probably the biggest thing that you can do as an individual to reduce your carbon footprint is to make yourself, or to reduce your meat intake. Now, I don't know about you, but I struggle to give up my bacon sandwiches at the weekend. So it's not necessarily to say go completely vegetarian or vegan, but even cutting your meat from every meal to once a day or a few times a week, you can reduce your carbon footprint from 2.6 tons of CO2 per year, which is roughly about 1,300 trees, down to 1.7, so 850 trees. So you can make a big difference just by reducing your meat intake. But I think for me, the easiest way to make a difference is actually to make the switch to an EV. You can save 1.5 tons of CO2 per year just by making the switch. They're a lot more fun to drive, and you get the feel-good factor of basically every month that you're driving around, you're offsetting the equivalent of planting 64 trees, which for a very low effort thing to do is quite a big impact. So Along with that, we have a lot of things that you can do in terms of actually moving to green tariffs. That's another big thing that you can do to reduce your household carbon footprint. So we've got a load of tariffs here. One for specific, quite a few for EVs. You've got solar panels as well, but you also have others that you can look into as, or just become an Octopus Energy customer. Probably at a time when we can kind of take more customers, but when the time is right, making the switch across to a green energy supplier is massively going to help. One thing that you can do as well with regards to your household, and we've heard this before, is like take shorter showers. I don't know, but you can get these egg timers. Ideally, I think it's 2 minutes, isn't it, Phoebe, that you should be aiming for a shower? I'm struggling. I stick at 4. I really enjoy my showers in the morning. But yeah, there's also quite a few other bits as well here with regards to the fan club and the heat pump revolution. Phoebe, I don't know if you want to share more details on them.
Yeah, so basically to do with the fan club, I put this on there because I think it's a great thing that we offer. However, you do need to live in certain areas. So it's Market Wheaton, Caerphilly, and then I think we've just opened one in Halifax. So basically, if you live near these wind farms, you can get 50% off your energy when the wind speeds are very high, and when it's low wind speeds, then it's 20% off your energy. So obviously that's great. We're sort of rewarding people, well, for actually not doing that much. They're just living there. But you know, it's great that they sort of, I know that can be sort of opposing opinions about living near wind farms and things like that. So we're sort of rewarding those people and obviously doing your bit for the environment. Same with the heat pumps as well. Heat pumps are like a relatively new thing. And like I said, with Greg and his house in Slough, he's been putting a lot of research into this. So we have what's called a heat pump revolution. So if that's something you're interested in, you know, cutting down on your gas usage and things like that, you can join the heat pump revolution.
So what we've done is we'll send this presentation across to everyone. It has the links to learn more, and we can do as Octopus, we can help with everything as well. So even if that's like installing solar panels, just get in touch and we can kind of help you and direct you to the best resources for you. And then finally, they kind of go away. What can you go and learn and do? So we have our winter workouts. So we've got the link here to join with our winter workouts. When are they, Phoebe?
Winter workouts. So it's essentially just tips. This goes in line with our saving sessions. I don't know if anyone's seen this. So if you're an Octopus customer, you can join the saving sessions. Essentially, you can go onto your, we have an app, you can go or the dashboard online. You go in there, join the session. And if you reduce your energy usage between the hours of 4 and 7, obviously peak times, then you'll be rewarded with Octo points. So this can be converted into either just cash or credit on your account, or you can win prizes and things like that. So that goes with our, you know, winter workout, you know, cutting down your gas usage, and then you'll sort of essentially be rewarded for it. This sort of goes as well with us trying to help people reduce their energy usage and see where that energy is being used when you might not notice. So we offer the chance for customers to get a thermal imaging camera, essentially just borrow one from us. You can look around your home and see where, you know, you're losing the most heat, and then hopefully make some changes, and then hopefully save money. And, you know, or sometimes when you have the heating on, but you don't realize your windows are maybe not triple glazed or your insulation's not as great, then you can see that and then make changes where you need to.
And then I guess one thing that we didn't put in our small things to create big wins, but it gets mocked sometimes, but really it has a huge impact, is actually using electric blankets. So instead of putting your heating on, you kind of plug in an electric blanket. It takes so much less energy to heat and keeps you nice and toasty for the evening. My partner has one, and I've basically been stealing hers, and she's not happy about it, so I think I'll have to get one myself. But it's definitely something that I'd recommend doing.
I know, just in line with that, the electric blanket can heat a person for just 2 to 4 pence an hour, whereas heating your home costs, I think, like £4 a day, like on average, we'll say. So, you know, obviously save you a lot of money, but you still won.
Yeah, and then finally, make the switch to electric vehicle. I think this is something that selfishly we'd obviously encourage everyone to do, but it's one of the biggest things that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint. You will reduce your fuel bill as well, your monthly fuel bill, and hopefully a really nice easy switch as well. So Ian, hopefully you're still here, but hoping that you could share your experience of you making the switch. And by the way, just to caveat this, I've not actually asked Ian before. I've got no idea what he's about to say, so I'm hoping it's positive. But Ian, if you're there, hopefully you can share your experience.
Yeah, of course. I suppose firstly, thank you for that. I think some timely reminders in there for everybody, especially in current energy climate crisis. So yeah, some great tips in there. I think in with regards to my experience with Octopus, it's actually been fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because Justine asked me to join the call, but I took out an EV car with Octopus probably 12 months ago now. And I think the advantage that I really enjoyed was, one, the flexibility of the agreement that we could set up in the first place, but also it opened up cars for all different budgets. So obviously, if you're working with ground control, generally you get a Tesla, whereas what this actually opened up around about 30 different cars, from small cars through to large cars, which I think was a great advantage. But also the support that you got through the process, I thought was excellent. And in terms of your maintenance cover, your accident cover, and basically going through all the process, I thought the management of that and expectation setting was great. I had the car within 3 months, I think, of putting my original order in. It actually came a month earlier than I was expecting. So yeah, I think overall, the key thing for me is something there for all budgets, you know, and it's a very difficult time for a lot of people at this moment in time. So actually having that option to look at it, but also flex your agreement to something that suits, I think is fantastic. So no, I'd certainly encourage people to go and have a look. And if needs be, if anybody wants to talk to me offline, have a chat around it, certainly on my experience and how I went about things, by all means, please do get in touch with me.
Amazing, thank you. And just quick follow-up question: have you seen an impact on like your household bills in terms of like fuel costs, things like that?
Oh, massively. I think you obviously you take the gamble in terms of what you're going to save in terms of national insurance and all that kind of good stuff. But in terms of having the charge, sorry, I should have said as well, the charger was installed as part of the process within 2 weeks, which again was great, and the guys were fantastic. They installed it. But in terms of the impact on the energy bills, we've not really seen a massive change in it. So actually having the car on charge off peak overnight works really well. And you just get in the car in the morning knowing it's fully charged. So it was my first experience with EV. I think the biggest thing that I had was range anxiety when I got in it. And you get a bit worried when you're driving down the motorway and you've not charged before apart from at home. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. But actually getting into it is very straightforward, and I think the support was excellent.
And just to final question for me, sorry, just to put you on the spot a bit, how much does it cost you to kind of get 200 miles worth of charge roughly?
Oh, now you're asking, aren't you? Very little, I suppose, is my answer. I'd have to work it out properly, Tom, to be fair, but it doesn't cost a lot.
£5-10, something like that?
Probably not even that at the minute.
Yeah, so hopefully that just kind of puts things into perspective. So thank you. I appreciate we've kind of slightly gone over the 15 minutes, but that's probably we're quite excited about our savings and tips. But hopefully people found it useful. Open to questions if we have time. Yeah, thank you very much. Feel free to put questions in the chat or come off mute.
Is there a referral scheme so I can pressure my family and friends into going green? Absolutely, yeah. With Octopus Energy, if you want to refer your friends or family, just make sure you got your account number or you have a special referral code. Pop that to the person either on the phone or you can do it online. You'll both get £50 credited onto each account. Philip interested on solar and heat pumps. On these slides we'll share with you, everything's hyperlinked, so all the links are there for you to go and have a look at. I know more to do with like the tariffs to do with solar, so our outgoing tariff and outgoing agile tariff, which basically means you get like day ahead wholesale rates and you can choose when to export your energy, which is great. Paul asks, what is the rate for the EV tariff per kilowatt, and what?
So on Agile on Go, I think it's about 10p per kilowatt overnight, isn't it, off peak?
Go is 10 pence between the hours of 12 and 4 in the morning. And then there is Intelligent, where if you get a car with us, you get one of the OMI chargers, which is compatible. Then between the hours of 11:30 and 5:30 in the morning. I think Go is 12 pence actually, and Intelligent is 10 pence per kilowatt hour. And that's for all your electricity in your house. So by all means, if you've got things on timers, for example, washers, tumble dryers, things like that, like use that during that time, be charged at 10 pence rather than the standard 34 pence at the moment.
Yeah. Lots of comments here about cars coming, which is great. I love to see that. Question here, is there any specialist advice on greening a listed property? Neil, I think that's a great question. We can support, I think, just get in touch. If you're an Octopus customer, get in touch. If not, Justine, if you can share my contact details, I can then see what we can do, Neil, to point you in the right direction.
There is. I did see something recently. You can get, you know, the sort of window covering. It's sort of like the vinyl, if you will, like the clear vinyl. It sort of acts as another layer of glazing on your windows. So to do with listed property, obviously you can't change too much. But if that's like available for you, I'd definitely look into it. See if you can for it and pop it. And pop it with the rest of the thing presenting.
Couple of questions on how long. Sorry, Phoebe, to cut you off. On how long it takes to make the switch across to Octopus and Energy Supplier.
It takes 2 working days to change to Octopus Energy. And then, yeah, you'll be with us at the minute with sort of everyone's under the price cap. If you're on a fixed tariff, I'd say stay put. But definitely, if you're not on a fixed tariff, everyone is pretty much charging the same. So you may as well make the jump and be green at the same time, essentially. And yes, Bulb is currently in the transition process. So all Bulb customers will be Octopus customers very shortly, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and then if you do want to if you've got an EV on the way and you want to make the switch, we generally reach out a month before to kind of organise tariff switches, charge installations, things like that. So the team are on it. Hopefully that answers your question there. Octopus, Leanne, is that Octopus electric vehicles in Northern Ireland or just generally Octopus Energy? If it's electric vehicles, it is, but we struggle to deliver to, or say we struggle, manufacturers struggle to deliver to Northern Ireland, so you probably have to come to mainland UK to pick up your car, but you can do the electric scheme in Northern Ireland. You've got servicing and maintenance store there, you just have to come generally to Liverpool to pick up your car. Thank you, Jez. Yeah, that's my email address. If you have any questions, please feel free. As Justine mentioned, if you want to find more information on the EVs, this link here, you can go to the quote tools, have a little window shop to see what that would cost you. We've got weekly webinars on a Wednesday if you want to learn more, get some EV myth busting, and then everything's on Pulse. Is that right, Justine, if anyone wants to find out more information?
It is, yeah. Everything for EV charge of EV through Octopus is on our Pulse. It's got all the information on there. And just a reminder for anyone who's considering moving over to Octopus, you get a bonus paid by Ground Control as a thank you for moving over. And we also donate £50 to the World Wildlife Fund for everybody that moves over. So there's huge incentive from a sustainability perspective, and it's a win-win for everybody. But again, as Tom said, if you're on a fixed tariff at the moment, probably not the right time to be moving, but just have a look at what you've currently got and what your options are.
Yeah. Jamie, you don't necessarily have to have an EV car tariff. It's just going to save you, probably not going to save as much as if you're doing a lot of mileage. It still makes sense to switch though. Hopefully that helps. Have we missed any questions? Oh, sorry, someone's going to say something. Oh. Have we missed anything going through the chat? I don't. Hopefully not. No.
I think that's all, isn't it?
Not that I can. No, not that I can see, Tom.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sorry, you've got one that's just come right in at the end. So I can probably answer that one for you because Lisa's asking if there's anyone she could speak to because she's an Octopus customer. I'm going to imagine there that Phoebe will direct you. Maybe not do it personally because there'll probably be a bit of security to go through to prove it's you. But I'm sure Phoebe can make sure you've got the right number.
Yeah, absolutely. I've written your name down and I'm sure I'll find you in the list. I'll pop you an email and I'll get someone to reach out.
Thanks, Phoebe.
Fabulous. Thanks, Phoebe. Thanks, everybody. That was fantastic. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Phoebe, for coming out to see us today. It's been an absolute delight to have you with us. Just a reminder to everybody that's on the call that next week we're going to be going through social value with Sophie Stevens. So join us again next week. And thanks again, Tom and Phoebe. Fabulous. And if anyone has any questions, we can pass them over to Tom and Phoebe after the call or pick it up from the chat. So thank you very much indeed.